Hello, my name is Natasha, and welcome to the first ever video on my personal channel. So for today, I wanted to talk about how I manage my own personal finances. Some of you may know me from my tech podcast, Rag Tech, where me and two other friends who are techies, we talk about life in tech. I kind of want to try something different and set up my own personal channel sharing about how I navigate through adulthood in my 20s because that's something that I discuss really often with friends and family alike. I think financial independence in your 20s is a very important topic, and I just want to share more about how I do it. And it just happened that today is my monthly bill payment kind of day, and also sort of a day where I review my personal balance sheet, and I wanted to share sort of the process of how I do it, and also take the opportunity today to formalize like a new process that I wanted to incorporate in my regular personal finance review routine. So what I wanted to do was to have a regular cadence to tracking my personal balance sheet and sort of my net worth, and to be able to review my expenses. And yeah, that's going to be what I'll be doing. So the first thing I want to do is to pay off my credit card bills. My process is basically going to be such that I am going to pay off the bills first so that I don't miss like the due date, and then I will review like each credit card balance sheet to see what I spent on, and also just in case there are any fraudulent expenses as well. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to be recording down and noting the patterns of my expenses and see if anything's changed, if there's anything that I should account it to other than my regular monthly recurring expenses like utilities and stuff like that, and kind of see if there's been any changes in my expenses. I have 3 credit cards right now. It's not that I spend a lot, it's just that I always tend to take advantage of new credit card offers. You know, they usually give like gifts, points, mileage, and cash back that might be better than my previous credit cards. So I do tend to review that, and also if I have any changes in things that I spend on that kind of land themselves in better cashback categories in certain other credit cards that I don't have, I do tend to apply for them too. So right now I have 3. I'm going to go ahead to pay off like all 3 credit card bills. Okay, so I am done paying off my credit card bills. Basically, how I usually go about doing this is when I get like an alert, a credit card bill that's due pretty soon. So in this case, it was my HSBC credit card that was due on like 9th. Today is the 5th, I think. Since I'm paying off that credit card bill already, I'll take it as an opportunity to pay off like my other credit card bills, even though like the due date for the other ones are not on the same day. So like the 365 and the Frank, actually a due date is 22nd November. But I just pay them off all at once and kind of treat it as like that's my expenses and liability for the month of October in this case. And now we're gonna follow on to the next thing that I want to do, which is review and note down my expenses for each credit card bill that I've just paid. On my personal balance sheet, I am going to just very roughly write this as expenses, and we are going to very roughly write down the credit card. Okay, so now I'm gonna look at the exact transactions that have been going on in my card. So let's start with my main credit card, which is the OCBC 365. This is the card that I use for general expenses, like groceries, like public transport, and stuff like that. That's a lot of transactions to just kind of go through like this. How should I do this? The way my mom does it for herself, she prints it out and then just cancels like the transactions. Oh, wait, I could print this out. Yeah, I could print this out. I have a mini printer. Okay, give me one sec. And I have this handy dandy mini printer. So I'm gonna, this is kind of how it looks like. Very cute. I use this to print like labels on things, as well as like labels for stuff I want to ship. But what I am going to do is I am going to print out all my statements. So it's easier to just kind of manually, in a very analog way, kind of track my credit card expenditure. So I have it like on this app connected to like the printer, and I am going to go ahead and print my statements. Okay, let's just go ahead and print the first one. Yeah, that's so cool. Oh, it's so it is small. Oh no, I can't really see much of it. Try again. Oh, it's so hard to see. What did I do? Okay, let me figure this out and then I will get back. I'm finally done printing everything on my mini printer. I don't have like a large printer. It's not ideal, but still does the job. So I have like all the various credit card information, the account balances just kind of printed out. So what I am going to do is now start categorizing. So we're gonna look at like first transaction. In this case it says bus MRT, public transport. Oops. We are going to calculate. So I'm gonna pull up the calculator app right here and start tabulating. Cancel this one. This is done. Honestly, I don't need to do this, right? I could literally just like do a sum. I'm so stupid. Okay, let's do this. I don't usually take private hire cars. For this month, I've had to do so because I was doing a lot of medical appointment stuff for my grandparents, and I wanted to ferry them comfortably. So I am going to log that down as well. Next one is dining, or like just outside food, dining, takeout. This is me buying bread. Should I count it as like dining out or groceries? Tough. I would count it as groceries because I usually just buy like bread. No. I'll count it as like dining takeout. Okay, fine. This is so hard. We are now done with calculating all the expenses across my credit cards as well as my bank accounts, like transfers and stuff like that. I've tallied everything, and yeah, now I'm just gonna kind of like review everything and see what stands out. The medical expenses for my granddad stands out because this was a pretty unexpected expense this like month, but I'm glad that like I had reserve funds to pay for that. But this will be a one-time, like it's only gonna be for this month. The other thing would be the e-commerce expenses. So these e-commerce expenses, I actually consider them investments because they're investments into possible new income streams that haven't really been realized in terms of profit yet. So again, this is probably going to be one time. We consider everything else as like recurring, like more expected expenses, which brings my grand total from 6,600-ish to really about 3,000, which goes into like my usual monthly expenses. And general shopping did increase a little bit like this month. I don't usually do a lot of shopping, like buying clothes and stuff. I would say like I spent about $200 just to buy like random stuff, but I think like for this month it was a mixture of buying stuff for my granddad, for my family. I've also been like trying to eat out with family more and just treating them to stuff. Like this month of October was my brother and my birthday, so yeah, stuff like that. Say like my monthly expenses stand at about $3,000, which is fair. Okay, so now on to like the next part. Okay, so I've also gone ahead to calculate my assets and my liabilities. For the assets one, for cash in Singapore bank, because I've already paid off all my bills and stuff like that, expenses are already accounted for, so I'm just gonna take like whatever value there is in my across my bank accounts right now. I also have like some cash that's not in SGD right now lying around other bank accounts like Wise, and then I also have like Singapore savings bonds and treasury bills, even though like I can't liquidate these things like immediately. Like for example, for the treasury bills, some of them like are only available once they mature. I also count them in my assets. I also invest a little bit into ETFs. I did have stocks, but I liquidated them like I think last month, and I also put in my property value. So in terms of calculating this, I own property in Singapore, and I am basically assessing the property value based on the latest transaction price. And what you can do to be able to determine this in the most accurate way possible is to check out the latest transaction price for the month that you're calculating from. And what I do is I go on Property Guru, and if you search your own property or like properties around like your area that are similar size, similar kind of type, you would be able to see like the latest transaction in the month, and then you just take that. And I usually just take like the lowest transaction price for that month, and that's how I determine like my property value as of now. And basically I total that, and that becomes like the total worth of my assets. Now in terms of liabilities, I don't have major liabilities other than mortgage. I know people usually like put like, their credit card expenses in, but like I said, it's a little bit confusing if I look at it that way. Category, I rather have like my expenses already accounted for and paid for, and then use the remaining amount as my cash asset. So because of this, my liabilities only include my mortgage. And for my mortgage, I've kind of basically my mindset is just more of like, if I were to sell my property at this point at the latest transaction price, how much would I be getting back in cash? That's kind of like how I think about it, because if I take into account the amount that I paid for with CPF, for those who are not Singaporean, CPF is a Central Provident Fund. It's a basically a forced savings by the government that you can use on property. When it comes to selling your property, the cash that you earn, of course, like one part of the cash goes back to the remaining outstanding mortgage that you have with the bank, but you would also have to pay back the mortgage that you paid for with your forced savings, your CPF, with 4% additional interest on top of it. So I've taken this into account for my liabilities on the assumption that if I sell it, this amount would have to go back to my forced savings and I wouldn't be able to touch it unless I buy a second property. So that is how I calculated my liabilities. And basically, calculating my net worth without consideration of my CPF, it's basically my total assets minus my liabilities. So that is basically how I keep track of my personal balance sheet and kind of look at my overall net worth and see how it changes over time. I haven't really been doing this consistently. It's just always been calculations, one-off calculations, but I intend to basically do this every month so I can kind of see movement of my net worth, the movement of my expenses, and how those things change. I could also retrospectively look back on how my net worth has changed by looking at previous accounts, but I think that's a little bit much for today. Today I just wanted to focus on setting up the Excel sheet so that I would be able to do that for the next few months. And also because I have some huge milestone lump sum investments coming up and expenses coming up for the next month or so onwards. So I do want to be able to keep track of that as well in the coming months. This is basically how I put together my personal balance sheet and kind of manage and keep track of my finances. I guess I will continue doing this for a few more months so that there's more of an overall spreadsheet sheet. That's kind of how you can look at things and then kind of decide moving forward what new investments you kind of want to go into, what spare cash you have lying around. For me, I don't really like having spare cash lying around, so I tend to invest a bulk of it, at least put them into savings bonds that I can take out the cash when I need to. I've started practicing just putting excess amounts into both ETFs and savings bonds, and when I need them, I'll liquidate them. But I do feel like I need more cash on hand just in case for emergency expenses that cannot be covered by credit cards. There were some stuff for my granddad's medical stuff that had to be paid for with full-on cash and not credit, through Pay Now and stuff like that. So I kind of don't want to be in that situation where I don't have enough cash on hand. So I think I'm going to take out more from my bonds to be able to do that. ETFs are something new that I started trying out maybe a month ago. I think they've been doing well. I feel like I'm doing well with it in the sense that I'm not psychologically volatile when I invest in it compared to stocks that I used to hold on to in the past where I would be quite psychologically affected. So I think this is an investment strategy I will continue. And I did talk about that I will be setting aside a bigger amount of money to invest in something else that I'm not ready to share yet, but when I do get everything figured out, I would love to share that with you guys as well. I hope this video was helpful, or at least, I don't know, entertaining to some extent. But I think overall, I think the first thing before you jump into determining your kind of lifestyle, your kind of spending habits and blah blah, is to be able to have the information on hand to know what you're starting with, to be able to see at first glance, oh, this is what I spend on, oh, this is how much I actually have, oh, these are my liabilities. Information and resources are the first thing that you can work on when it comes to figuring out your financial landscape, rather than jumping into investing straight away, or jumping into cutting down on your expenses. A low commitment thing. The only thing you need is time, is to really just lay out what your financial landscape is. So yeah, thank you, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.